Barak Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is pretty much various topics, dated May 18th, 2022, the year of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai turning up. And pretty much, I really don't have, anything really planned. I don't have any lesson planned or anything like that. Just, say a few words on whatever the Spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai allows me to speak on, to feed you. So whatever the Spirit feeds me, I'll feed you. And I wanted to say a few words on a video I was just watching, which was pretty much a re-upload by the up-and-coming elder Karatazar from the Vegas camp. And, pretty much, he put up a video dealing about that these devils, they've been known about, the chariots, now the title UFO, which is unidentified flying object, is being changed for UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon, which I'm still going to call them UFOs, because that's what they so-called are, But be it as it may, these devils have known all along, about the chariots, and about these interactions that mainly these jet fighters, so-called astronauts, out in these space stations have encountered. They have them on their radar, they have them on video, and they've been constantly monitoring them. Now, there's a reason why they've built these powerful telescopes, such as a Hubble telescope and others. I'm not, an expert on telescopes, so I'm not sure of the newer models, if they have anything newer, or should I say, that has a different name. But it all goes back to the telescope, which is pretty much to look into the stars, to look into the sky, to look into space. Because one thing that they're doing by looking into space is they're trying to measure out and search out the heavens, so that the Heavenly Father can destroy us. Because he said that if the heavens above can be searched and the earth beneath and the seas, then will I do away with the nation of Israel. Then it goes on to say that if the sun, the moon, and the stars stop shining, then will the Lord, do away with the nation of Israel. But these devils take that challenge seriously, because going back to the time of, Jacob and Esau, Jacob being the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and Esau being the so-called white man, they sold their birthright. And then they were not only supplanted for their birthright, but they were also supplanted for their blessing. And they're trying to get that birthright back, that blessing back. And they figured that since the Lord gave them that open challenge to search things out, that's what they've been doing, in order for them to be accepted back. But just like Esau was not accepted back for all his crying that he did, they're still not going to be accepted in these times now. As a matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Let's go to Hebrews 12 and 16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau. Now, Esau goes back to the Hebrew word Ishar, which is a compound word, which they don't really break it down in the Blue Letter Bible, just like they go off when they break down the name Abel, Habal, which means transitory. And there's certain names that they don't really break down properly, and there's certain words they don't break down properly. But when you go to the word Esau or Ishar, it's a compound word, Ishashwa. Now, you can look up the word Ishash in the Blue Letter Bible. I forgot what actual Strong's number it is, H number. But if you type in Esau and look at the number, then you just keep on typing, let's say it's H, let's say, for instance, it's H1020. And let's say it says Esau, or Ishar. Then you type in H1030, and it'll give you some more words. And if it's not within that, type H10 1035 or 1040. And once you get in the area, you'll see it has the Hebrew word Aishash, which is Aishasha. And the word Aishash means wasted. Now, when you add a wa at the end of a word, when it's not connected to the word, it makes it his or he. So Aishashwa or Aisha, he wasted away, or wasted away is he. Because when he came out of his mother's womb, his pigment was not like other children. You know, his pigment was totally different. Now, when any baby comes out of their mother's womb, they come out pale or paler than what they normally are until their pigment, settles in. That's why Aaron, when the Heavenly Father struck Miriam with leprosy, he said, Lord, don't let this come upon us. Let her not be as one that is half dead or something like that, or dead, being half consumed or something like that when they come out of their mother's womb. So that is, pretty much it's a curse. But Esau, when they came out just totally looking, like with nothing, no color, no pigment. And that's why Isaac called him Aisha, or wasted away is he, because the pigment, that the average person has, because all people on the planet Earth from the beginning were all brown-skinned people, except for the so-called white man. The first time the so-called white man appeared on the earth was going back to a man by the name of Cain. Now, when Cain came out to Adam and Eve, you had Cain and you had his brother Abel. Everybody was brown-skinned. Once Cain murdered his brother Esau, then the Lord put a curse upon Cain, and he stripped him of his pigment. And when you read the Book of Mormons, right, what Esau did through Joseph Smith and the rest of them clowns and cronies and ghouls and goons, what they did was they reversed the story of Cain, where Lord stripped him of his pigment and set a mark upon him, which that was the mark. It was stripping him of his pigment. They reversed it and said that everyone was so-called white, and then when the Lamanites went off, then the Lord cursed them and put a skin of blackness upon them, implying that to be brown-skinned, you're evil, you're wicked. And he said if they would amend their ways, so to speak, the Lamanites, that they will be turned back to their white, so-called white skin, which would make them pure again, which is total bullshit. But that's what they did. They reversed the story of Cain. So that was the first time a so-called white person came upon the earth, when the Lord stripped Cain of his pigment. Then the flood came, the people were destroyed, and that same spirit came back through the same people, because Isaac is Yahushai, and Rebecca could very well be Eve. Everything is reincarnated. And they both had two children again, one righteous, one wicked, the righteous one being Jacob, which came out brown skin like the regular rest of the babies. And the other one came out looking different, came out like a so-called white person, albino, so you could understand. And that was Esau. And you can't say that, well, you can't do that, because how can a black person, so-called black person, have one child and is brown skin, and then the other child being like a so-called white person? Easy. All you gotta do is type that in. You could type in black couples, which are not really black, but black couples having twins, one brown, one white, or something along those lines. Type in something like that, and you'll see many examples, of different places of the world where this is actually happening. You have a couple, they have children. One child comes out like a so-called black person, and the other one comes out like a so-called white person. Very easy. So when Esau came on the scene, that was the next time that the Edomites came on earth. Then they were cursed, not only just with the skin pigmentation taken away, but also to be slaves up under us, servants under us. Now, the whole time, when Israel started setting up kings, there came a point where Esau was in subjection under Jake. Then they broke away, at a certain point. And then they started making kings among themselves, and eventually, so on and so forth. You know the history. Those of you that have been brothers have been studying, and then later on, so like I just lost my train of thought. The point is that they were always created to be the our servants. But there was another point that came to mind, but it escaped me for the moment. But if it comes back, the Lord's will go back to it. But nevertheless, that's the first time that these devils came on the earth like that. And they are the people of the Lord's curse, as we read in Isaiah 34. So going back to Hebrews 12 and 16, lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. Yeah, because he sold his birthright. And that's why they're trying to get it back, which sets it up for them to try to, search the heavens out, search the earth and the seas for the Lord to do away with us. But Most High was just being facetious with you, because that's just like the angel being facetious with Ezra. When Ezra is asking him certain questions, he would say, well, look, measure me the weight of a flame, call me back a day that's past, and so on and so forth. He said that he can't do that. Just like Esau can't do the things, the challenge that the Most High set up for them, even though it was facetious. It says, for you know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get that repentance. And they figure that by doing away with us, that would bring in, salvation back to them, or give them that birthright back. Now, this is the reason why physically now you have these white supremacist Christians, right? So-called Christians that have something called replacement theology or supersessionism, which means that they removed the Israelites out of the equation and inserted themselves in there as the ones that are going to receive salvation, the body of believers, which the body of believers is nothing more than the elect of the nation of Israel. But they know that in order for them to be there, they have to remove us. And this is the whole thing with Esau setting up these telescopes and these and seeing these sightings. Now, when they were up in ships, right, dealing with the helicopters or jets, airplanes, space shuttles, up in these different satellites, up in the space station. They've been seeing these chariots for the longest, and they've been trying to figure out a way to fight against them and prepare to battle against them, and for a long time this was not spoken of. Back in the days, if people spoke about it, what they would do is they would send what they call the men in black out there to pretty much what's the word I'm looking for? To pretty much prep the people what to say, if they're being interviewed, and tell them, look, you didn't really see that. And pretty much what they were doing was threatening them that if they would divulge that they would come back and probably kill them, murder them, whatever the case was. Because what they're doing is they've been trying to hide, but they can't be hid. You can't hide this, because the Most High is going to make it come out. Truth cannot be hid. It can only be hid for so long. Because whatever you put in front of the truth, whatever facade or superimposition you put over it, no matter what it is, the truth is going to bust right through it eventually. This is Isaiah 29 and 15. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark. And they say, who seeth us? And who knoweth us? Right. And that's what you've been doing. You've been seeking deep to hide your counsel from the Lord. But the Lord created you, fool. So you can't hide from the Lord. The Lord made you. It says, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as a potter's clay. Because you turned the world upside down. But the Most High is the potter. He's the one that created you. So the same way he created you, once the potter finishes whatever vessel it is shown or known what it is, whether it's a vase or a cup or whatever the case may be. So the same way that the Lord set you up, as the potter, and you turn everything upside down, the Lord is going to reveal you in due time. Trying to think of the scripture that came to mind. Okay, yeah, because everything is turned upside down. Let's go to Psalms. Right? Is that Psalms? No, it's not Psalms. Yes, Psalms 82:5. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. Why? Because the people that are ruling have it out of course. From the minds of the people to the food that we ingest, to the air, water, everything you do, everything to the clothing on our back, socks, shoes, hats, whatever we wear is tainted. Everything that's out there, even if you get 100% cotton, you have a large amount. I'm not sure the percentage, but you have a large amount of GMO cotton out there. Like I said, I'm not sure the percentage, but it might be 85%. It might be more. It might be a little less. But the majority of cotton you see out there is GMO. So GMO cotton is not going to function and work with the body as, 100% real cotton. So everything is out of course. Everything that you see and everything is set up to harm us, to destroy us. Because one thing I was meditating on earlier was dealing with how these devils have, when you go to the hospital, they're constantly taking blood out of you on a regular. And what are they doing with that blood? They're examining that blood. They're testing that blood. They're looking at that blood. They're breaking that blood down. They're taking the plasma, looking at it, seeing what the makeup is, searching the DNAs and finding out what chemical elements out there can be mixed together to destroy that particular individual. Because there are things, these devils are genocidal maniacs. And that's what they're doing. So them taking blood, they're really looking for ways to destroy us as a nation, as a people, because that is their main goal. So everything is out of course, and there's going to be a great onslaught upon the people of the Lord by the same maniac that's causing these things. That's why Yahushua made this statement in the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, and I believe it's the 21st verse. It says, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be." And that's dealing with what? That's dealing with Jacob's trouble, which is coming. It says, "And except those days should be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened." Why? Because these devils are creating havoc. They have a toxic environment out here. And if the Lord doesn't come back to deliver us, we're finished. That's why we praying to the Lord to hurry up and take this, maniac down. Because that's exactly what they are. They're nothing but a bunch of maniacs. And that's what the chariots, that's the position, for lack of better words, that the chariots play. The chariots are going to come to deliver us, because otherwise we'll be finished. Daniel 12:1. "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people." Who is Michael? The archangel. Michael is the archangel, the first archangel, in the rank and file, for lack of better words, of the angels underneath Yahushua. You have Yahushua, then you have Michael the archangel. And he's coming with Yahushua for what? He's going to stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. Why? Because who is traveling in these vehicles are the angels. And the angels are there for what? To protect us. Hebrews 1:14. But to which of the angels said he at any time, sit on my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool? And the answer to that is none except for Yahushua. It says, are they not all ministering spirits? Who are they? Who is it speaking about? Speaking about the angels. What is a minister or ministering? That's a servant. Are they not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister for them who shall be heirs of salvation? Right. So they're the ones that protect, hedge. You know, these are, you know, the angels are the angels of the Lord encamp around them that fear the Lord. You know, pretty much to deliver us out of evil. You know, they're also there to guide us. You know, there's certain thoughts, certain things that go on in our minds that the angels are guiding us with. You know, so that's what the angels are there for. And that's who travels in those vehicles that we see, that's who travels in those vehicles that the world calls UFOs or UAPs. It's the angels of the Lord, and they are so-called black men. They are not so-called white people. They're not little white babies, butt naked, with little baby wings on their back, with a bow and arrow, and a wreath around their head. They are so-called black men with afros, and you make mockery of them. That's why in the book of Revelation it speaks about you blaspheme against the heavens, against the Most High, His Son Yahushua, against the angels, and you even blaspheme against us, saying that you are us. So those living creatures, they are the ones that travel in those chariots, which are the, for lack of better words, the vehicles or the cars or the aviation of the heavens. Ezekiel 1:7, and their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot. This is speaking about the angels. And the reason why I said that they had soles of the calf foot is the cat. Well, first of all, the calf with the cloven foot, if it chews a cud, it's clean. It's a clean animal, and the angels are righteous. But they also wore, like you see it sometimes, with different martial arts movies. They have these shoes on where the big toe is separate from the others, like a cloak. So they had boots on like that. That the big toe was separate from the rest. You could type that in. You could type in different boots, that are like that. A lot of martial artists, or not the MMA, but martial artists, like from Japan and China and stuff like that. I'm sure they wear it. I've seen pictures of it. So that's what that was talking about. Right? It says, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass, which is burnt brass. So the angels are so-called black. I don't care what these devils say, because they have to have a rebuttal for this, because otherwise plantation Christianity will go out the door even sooner. So they push that narrative of them being superior. And now that their whole shit is collapsing, now they're trying to, get in there and trying to save face, so to speak. I just want to jump to it said, and they had the hands of a man under their wings, on their four sides, and they four had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went, right? Because the angel, unlike us, when we walk, we have to actually turn to walk. The angels could hover forward, backwards, side to side. So that's what they were doing. They were marakaputhing, but not in the other marakaputh sense of earth. That's an inside joke. because the word Marakapath means to hover. It says, they went every one straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, they four had the face of a man, because they are men, and the face of a lion. The reason why I said they had a face of a lion, Ezekiel actually saw this, but these were attributes of the angels. The face of a man, because they are men, wisdom. The face of a lion, a lion is known for what? For his courage on the right side. Excuse me. And they four had the face of an ox on the left side. What is the ox known for? For its strength, because the angels are mighty. That's why you have a term called cherub, or I believe in the Hebrew it's karab with a ka, not karab as in sword, but karab as in cherub, if I'm not mistaken. Which means mighty one, right? And they four also had the face of an eagle. And what does the eagle represent? The eagle represents taking flight, and the eagle is the highest flying bird. And they're out there in the heavens flying around. It says, thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. Two wings of every one were joined one to another, and two covered their bodies. And they went every one straight forward, whither the Spirit was to go. They went, and they turned not when they went, right? Because they don't have to make those maneuvers. That's why you hear Esau over the radar, over the rover, saying, oh wow, because they're witnessing the angels in these chariots doing spectacular maneuvers that are impossible, for man to accomplish. So this is why when Yahushua, the angels, Michael and the angels come back to fight against these devils, they're going to be so afraid because of this sight, They're expecting to fight a man or somebody else in another jet or somebody in a helicopter or, whatever the case may be. But they're going to find themselves fighting against an angelic force of the climactic battles of the Most High. Inside joke, But there's going to be a scene out of this world. And even though they have movies like Independence Day, ID4, that came out and they showed you a glimpse into what's coming, that's really going to pale in comparison to what actually is going to go down, because they're painting the image of the end and the chariots coming and fighting with the militaries of the world in a picture of man's feeble mind. And man's feeble mind has only so much imagination, you see. But when the chariots come, it's going to be on a whole nother level, because this is the greatest movie ever created. It says, as for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire. Why? Because of the glow that they had around them. And like the appearance of lamps, once again, it went up and down among the living creatures. Why? Because that glow is all throughout them. Just like when we get to the kingdom, we're going to glow. Daniel 12:3 tells you that. Matthew the 13th chapter tells you that. When we read about Revelation the 12th chapter, where it speaks about, the crown with 12 stars. Stars are known for what? For their light. They are light. So the 12 stars represent the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. So we as a people, we're going to have a glow, a constant glow about us. Show enough. We're going to have that Bruce Leroy glow. It says, it went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. Yeah, that's the rays that come out, because the angels have power. They're powerful. They have power. When Yahushua comes back, he's coming back to shoot lasers on these devils. When the chariots came to pick up Enoch, when the chariots came to pick up Elijah, it was a beam of light that came out that separated Elijah from Elisha. What Esau calls a tractor beam, but it also shoots lasers, because when the Lord went to Moses to give him the law, what happened? It said that it was written with the finger of the Most High. And the finger of the Most High was what? The rays that came out and etched on those 2 tables of stone. And wrote down the 10 Commandments, which the 10 Commandments is is pretty much a summary of all the laws. It's comprised of one of those 10. So then you have you have the moral law, civil law, dietary law, and ceremonial law, which that's the breakdown of the 4 different types of laws that are in our book, in our scrolls, in the Torah, the Tanakh, you know. So it says, and the living, it says, and the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning, because they were moving at phenomenal rates, past the speed of light. Because I believe the fastest calculation of speed on the earth as of right now, if I'm not mistaken, is the speed of light. You know, but the angels move a million times faster than that. That's why when you have that one video, that NASA video, where the chariot was just pretty much hovering, you know, moving, you know, and then all of a sudden you see it take off. You see how fast it took off, and then you see a ray of light, and then you see an actual laser coming out, because Esau shot at them because they thought they were going to get him. They said, yeah, we finally got him. You know, he saw him coming closer and closer, and he got in range. He got in front of the laser, and then he took off. And then by the time he got in front of it, Esau pushed the button, but the angel was already gone. Then the flash of light came. Then the laser came out. And that is quick, but the angels are quicker. It says, now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with his 4 faces. Right. And what is that wheel? That wheel is talking about the chariots. You know, the scriptures call them whirlwinds. They call it a flying roll. You know, there's many different names for it. You know, the main one we call it is the chariots. You got the term cloud or clouds. You know, sometimes when you look at the clouds, some of those clouds are chariots. You have pictures out there of clouds that you could see, you know, that it's a chariot. You know, and the clouds can cloak the chariots, or the chariots can be right here, right in front of us, a real gigantic chariot, and we don't see it because it's cloaked or it's invisible, you know, to the naked eye. But if the Lord was to open our eyes to the 4th dimension, we'll be able to see the angels. We'll be able to see the chariots, just like I believe that was Elijah or Elisha, one of the two, that prayed for the young man that was nervous when he saw I believe that was the Syrian army. You know, he saw them and he got nervous, and Elisha, either Elisha or Elijah, told him, look, don't worry about it, don't concern yourself, don't fret that, you know. And then he asked the Lord because there's more with us than be with them. And he asked the Lord to open his eyes. And when he opened his eyes, he saw the heavens covered with chariots and angels all over the place. You know, so they're here, but we just can't see them with the naked eye. You know, because we're not. I mean, we're spiritual beings, but we're on a very low level. Our frequency is not turned up. Once the Lord turns our frequency up, then we'll be more in tune. That's why these bodies have to be changed, because these bodies are chains of darkness. So it has to be changed because it's holding our spirit down. It's pressing upon our spirit, these mortal bodies. They're pressing down our spirit. They're not allowing us to advance to the greatness that we're going to get when the kingdom of heaven is established. You know, that's why you might look up something and forget it. Why? Because we're in these bodies. You know, do all this studying and then a lot of stuff you forget until the spirit hits you and then it comes out. Why? Because we're in these bodies. These bodies have to be changed. So we're on a very low frequency. Because if we were on a high, if our frequency was heightened, I mean, we're on a higher frequency than the world, but still we're on a low frequency. Because if our frequency was really heightened, we'll be able to see the chariots. We'll be able to see demons. You know, we'll be able to see into the spirit world. You know? So it goes on to say, now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with his 4 faces. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of beryl. Now beryl is green. So this is a green chariot, right? And they 4 had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Right, and you have so-called scientists, so-called prophets out there. I'm sorry, not prophets, so-called scholars that agree that this is talking about a vehicle in the heavens, so-called UFOs. And there's many scriptures in the Bible that speaks about the so-called UFOs. Matter of fact, if you type in UFOs in art, you'll find a whole bunch of pictures that were painted, in the 1,000, 1,200, 1,100, and pretty sure before that, of chariots in those paintings. These different vehicles, and they show men sitting in these vehicles to show you that the angels are the ones that travel in those celestial vehicles. So it says when they went upon their four sides. Yeah, because they don't have to turn, and they turned not when they went. Yeah, and that's why Esau has a hard time keeping up with them. They just disappear. You see, they use this term called hyperspace, right? And this is something that was used in I believe in the Star Wars, the Millennium Falcon. Achieved. It took a while. But it achieved hyperspace, right? And you see different futuristic movies that speak about hyperspace, right? And hyperspace pretty much is something that happens to where you're moving at phenomenal rates of speed, and that's where they get it from. They get it from the scriptures. I was trying to see if it came up, but it's not coming up. It's not coming up. I was trying to see if restlessness and movement now. So pretty much that's what they're pushing. That, that's why Esau got that concept of hyperspace, because of the speed that these vehicles travel. See, this is nothing new. These devils been known about this, as a up-and-coming elder put in his lesson, or that re-upload that he did. As for the rings, now the rings represent what? It represents the windows in the chariots. Matter of fact, let's go real quick to the book of, I believe that's the book of, let's see, I know it's Isaiah. Is it 60? Yep. Isaiah 60 and 8. Who are these that fly as a cloud, which are the chariots, and as the doves to their windows, because they have windows around them? How do you think the elect are going to see the destruction of America and other parts of the world? From those windows. Now, there was a vision that the elder Demashaphat had years ago. I'm not sure if it was while he was in the truth or before he came in the truth. He said the chariot that they were in, the floor was see-through. It was like glass. You could see, and he said you could look straight down. So it had to be while he was in the truth, I believe. You could look straight down and see what the Lord spoke about, the lake of fire, which was America on fire. You see? But the chariots also have windows around them. Now here it is, you got your Bentleys and your Bugattis and, all of these different Ferraris and, and these luxurious cars, right? That some of them are built for speed. And here it is, you're a human, and your imagination allowed you to create this. So how much more in the heavens? Where man got the inspiration from to do these things. So let me see. Let me try one more. Isaiah. Let me see what this one says real quick. Okay, now that's good enough. So let's go back to Ezekiel. Ezekiel, the first chapter, and verse 18 now. As for their rings or their windows, they were so high that they were dreadful. Yeah, because the highest flying thing on earth, on earth is, you got your jets, planes, and all that, and your shuttles, but the chariots are the highest flying. It says that they were dreadful, and yeah, because imagine, when you're in one of those skyscrapers and you're looking down. That shit looks dreadful. He's like, oh man, you're looking way, you're looking from where you at all the way down. Imagine falling from that. That shit is dreadful, man. It says, and their rings were full of eyes round about them. Right, because you can see out of the windows. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And the living creatures are the chariots. I'm sorry, the living creatures are the angels. The wheels are the chariots. And just like in some of the art, or UFOs and art, you see the vehicles and they're up in the heavens, in the sky, and you actually have men inside of them. So those are the angels. And when the living creature went, the wheels went by them. Why? Because they were in these vehicles. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Why? Because they were in the chariot. They became one with the chariot. Just like if you get a car, right? Once you get that car, you got to get used to the car. You got to get comfortable with the car. You got to become one with the car. And after a while, you jump in your car. It's like you're already, your car is already used to you. You're used to your car, So you become one with that vehicle. So the angels are one with their vehicles. Whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. Thither was the spirit to go. And the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. See? They were in there. And these are celestial bodies in celestial vehicles. When those went, these went. And when those stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. See, they were in there. And the likeness of a firmament upon the heads of the living creature was as the color of the terrible crystal, that's talking about the so-called ozone layer, stretched forth over their heads above. And because remember, the angels are coming into from the fourth dimension into this third dimension and coming into our atmosphere to deliver us. Lord's will we be the elect. And under the firmament were their wings straight, the one toward the other, everyone who had two, which covered on this side, and everyone had two which covered on that side, their bodies. Let's see. That's pretty much it on that. Now let's go from there. Let's go back to Daniel. Let me get Daniel real quick. Back to Daniel. And then let's go to Revelation. Try to get this one. All right, so Daniel 12:1, it says, and at that time shall Michael stand up. What time? The time of this great trouble, this great tribulation, Jacob's trouble. It says, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. Why? Because they are coming to deliver us. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book, meaning the elect. Because this is during the time of Armageddon, and there's going to be, in the midst of all this, is going to be turmoil on the earth. So the angels, Yahweh and the angels are going to have to come and deliver us. Let's go to Revelation 19. And let's start at 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh. Worship the Most High. For the testimony of Yahweh is the spirit of prophecy. And it said, and I saw heaven open, and behold a white horse. And same white horse in Revelation 6:2. And he that sat upon it was called faithful and true. And in righteousness he does judge and make war. Right, because that's what Yahweh is coming back to do. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, because he's coming to take these nations down. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. Why? Because he's coming to destroy Esau's kingdom and these nations' kingdom. Who was this that come with Edom with dyed garments? From Edom with dyed garments. And his name is called the Word of the Most High. Did I miss something? All right, it says, and the armies, see, which were in heaven, followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth the sharp sword, which is the lasers, that with it he should smite the nations. And that's dealing with their military. Excuse me. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of almighty power. Yeah, because he's coming to do business. He's coming to give Esau the business. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Why? Because he's going to take down all these. He's going to be given the credit for taking these devils down. He's going to be the new reigning champion on the earth, because he is a reigning champion, but he it's just not made manifest on the earth yet. And the Apostle Paul spoke about that. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowl that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great power. Yeah, because the Lord promised these birds a feast, that you may eat the flesh of kings and the flesh of captains. So this is just what we're reading here is the same thing that we read in Revelation, the 12th chapter, and about the 9th verse on down, where Michael fought with his angels and the devil fought with his angels. It's not talking about the spiritual demon Satan. It's talking about the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan, which are the Edomites and their armies and the armies of the nations, and the flesh of mighty men and the flesh of horses and them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. And I saw the beast, which is NATO and the EU, and the kings of the earth, which are the other nations, and their leaders and their armies, see, gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. And that's why he went forth to conquering and to conquer. Right? So they came to fight against him. We read about that in 2nd Ezra 13. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet. The false beast is EU and NATO. The false prophet is dealing with the Vatican, right? And the beast, you could also throw America in there, that wrought miracles before him, right? And the miracles that they bringing out or working is what? This technology that they have that's being pushed on all levels, politically, financially, militarily, religiously. They're pushing this on all fronts. And it's no miracle, it's no coincidence that the devil that's pushing this too hard, this dude Yuval Noah Harari, he's a small hat. You know, he's a twinkle-toed small hat. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark, or the MOTB, and them that worship his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone, which are the nuclear missiles and the lasers from the chariot. And the remnant was slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceedeth out of his mouth, and all fowls were filled with their flesh. Yeah, because it said that he neither lifted up sword, nor any instrument. What it was the blast of fire that was coming directly out of the mouth of Yahushai, which is dealing with the lasers. So you could understand. Just bear with me 1 second. Right, this is Daniel 7, and I'll start at 9, but I'm going to jump. It says, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. That's the Most High Yahweh, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool, because he had a woolly white afro. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. That's dealing with the chariots. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. These are lasers. These are the angels also. Thousands ministered unto him. Thousands ministered unto him, angels, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were open, because once the fourth beast goes fully down, which we're in that time now, then the destruction comes. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, the horn dealing with America, I beheld even till the beast was slain, EU and NATO, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. Yeah, because they're going to be totally annihilated. And Yahushua is going to be the one to annihilate them. As concerning the rest of the beasts dealing with the other nations, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. Right. Because once the kingdom is established, the nations are going down. They're going to be slaves. They're going to be slaves. But eventually, after that 1,000-year period, then they're going to get their lands back. Esau is the only people that are not going to be that are going to be non-existent after the 1,000 years of hardcore slavery. They're going to be burnt up. That's their judgment. I saw in the night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven. Right, because this is at the end when the destruction happens, when Yahushua destroys everything. Then Yahushua is going to be brought before the Most High, so to speak. This is parabolic, but it's actually going to happen because Yahushua, is going to gain control of the whole entire planet Earth once again. And I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven. This is dealing with the chariot. This is like, all right, picture the movie Gladiator. Once Maximus, destroyed the barbarian hordes, right? And what happened? They were victorious, and they came before the king. Then once you would win a particular battle, news would get back to the realm or the kingdom you were from, and the people would be rejoicing. And then eventually, not too long after that, what happened? The leaders, the rulers, the generals, the captains, whatever, the men of war, they will come marching through, and people would praise and laud them. And then the emperor would they would laud the emperor because of the victory of his armies. So when Yahushua comes back with the angels, when they destroy this place, he's going to get the kingdom now. He's going to be lauded and praised and applauded. It says, the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. So it's impossible. Isn't Yahushua an Israelite? Isn't he from the tribe of Judah? So it's impossible for any nation, the Edomites included, to destroy us and take us down after we get back in power. Because this is Yahushua's kingdom. So that means, that what Elder Lahab is saying is that Yahushua is going to be taken down again then. Because this is his kingdom. So how in the hell are the Edomites going to be able to take us back down? That means Yahushua got to be bound again, under them. It's madness. This is blasphemy. All right. It says, I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. Yeah, because he saw the devastation and how gruesome it's going to be when Yahushua comes back. And that's why I said that the men, these mighty men of war that have been trained to be stiff in the face of danger, once they see this is going to be on a whole nother level, and the rest of that is going to be history, So with that, I pray that you brothers and you few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say, Shalom.